Hello, let's find out where is this blue super full moon Pisces falling in your chart based on your ascendant. So this is what this video is going to be about. And first thing, before I share the screen and I tell you and I show you where, there's going to be timestamps everywhere, so you can fast forward or go backwards or just go straight into your ascendant. But before we do that, just a clarification, I do not use whole signs houses. So I use equal houses for these videos, and that's the reason why I use degrees. So finding out what degree your ascendant is will make a whole difference for you to follow this video. So we're going to be talking about, in this particular video, early degrees will be from 0 to 6, and late degrees will be 7 to 29, because this full moon will be happening at 7 degrees Pisces. All right, so let's share the screen and dive into the subject that we're talking about. And by the way, welcome. I am Friend of the Private Hitchhiking Stars. If you've been here, welcome again. If you haven't been, welcome. I'm glad you found me. I hope this content will be useful for you for this super blue full moon in Pisces. So because it's a super moon, it will be closer to us, so it's definitely more intense. Is in Pisces as well, which is by traditional astrology standards is very well placed, but is also a water sign, so it's quite emotional. There's a very strong, powerful energy with that Pisces, but also is a blue moon, so it's the second full moon of the month, and this again really reflects something really powerful here that's happening. A blue moon will be connected with a second chance, so something that might be coming back to you. And because we have the two rulers, so Mercury, the ruler of the sun in Virgo, and Jupiter, the traditional ruler of the moon in Pisces, they will be forming a trine with Mercury going retrograde, coming back towards Jupiter. It really seems like an opportunity that you may have had that's sort of heading back towards you, that you thought maybe would be gone, or something that you thought maybe wasn't for you that actually might be for you. So there's something of an opportunity or a chance for you to manifest your dreams, for you to bring inspiration into your life. All of those Piscean flavors, reconnect with your spiritual practices, reconnect with trust and surrendering so you can serve. That's the sun in Virgo and the Virgo season, all right? So with all of that said, let's dive into the ascendants, which is the topic of this video. So for the early Aries rising, so from 0 to 6 degrees Aries rising, and the late Pisces, so from 7 to 29 Pisces ascendant, this full moon will be happening in your 12th house, in your 12th house. I'm getting confused because moon is at 3 degrees here, which obviously is not the exact 7 degrees, but let's be guided by the sun, okay? Because I'm going to keep moving the ascendant, so the moon will keep moving degrees as well. So for you, early Aries, late Pisces, this full moon will be happening in the 12th house. So we have the moon in the 12th and the sun in the 6th. Because it's a full moon, is always an axis. We look at the two houses that are being activated, and in special as well, to see where you can bring this full moon energy, how you can work with the full moon energy, bringing into the house of the sun there as well. So it's kind of like they're sort of interconnected. It's something that you can let go of, that you can become aware of with the full moon, and you can bring into fruition there in the 6th house as well, in the house where the sun is, in your case, early Aries, late Pisces. So there's something about spiritual inspiration, the connection with the collective unconscious, or something of the mysterious realm of the 12th house that you can bring into the 6th, some kind of breakthrough that you may have that might have an influence into your health, into your daily work, your daily job, your daily routines as well. Perhaps bringing that spiritual practice that you've been wanting to into your daily routines could be something of an insight with this full moon. There's something of that spirituality that you can use to serve, and it's very much as like a double whammy for you, because the 12 is the natural house of Pisces and the 6 is the natural house of Virgo. So we have the elements of this full moon, or the general flavors of this full moon already represented again in this house placement as well. So there's something about that that you can bring into fruition. And I keep saying bring into fruition for this particular full moon as well, because Saturn is close to the moon, and because we have that Mercury-Jupiter trine that I mentioned as well happening in Earth signs. So there's a very strong material possibility of whatever it is that comes up for us during this full moon. Full moons tend to be dramatic. They tend to be very emotional, very charged with energy as well. But usually it's pointing out to something that we can embrace into our lives as well, or something that we can let go so you can embrace a new path in your life. So this will be connected with the 12 and the 6th house for you, early Aries, late Pisces. So really pay attention to your dreams these days now for this week, for until a couple of days after this full moon as well, because I think it'll still be going strong. You might be having a lot of hunch, sort of some feelings there, gut feelings that might be coming up for you as well. Pay attention to all of those, especially you, because it will be in your 12. So the unknown, it will be very present. It will be giving you some sort of insights towards how to apply that into your life a little bit more in a more practical way. All right. Now, for the late Aries and the early Taurus rising. So let's move on. Late Aries, blah, 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 and late Taurus and early Taurus as well. Sorry. We're going to have the full moon happening between the 5th and the 11th. So the moon will be falling in your 11th house. So the 11th and the 5th, really what they have in common is expression, is expressing ourselves, is, whereas in the 5th house, it has to do with your self-expression, your personal creativity, your individual creativity. The 11th will be your role in the group. How do you express yourself as a member of a group? And so the full moon will be bringing any strong emotions, any strong insights, any strong revelations that this full moon might be bringing, especially near that Saturn as well, about any challenges that you might be going through in the 11th house. So perhaps with your groups of friends, people that you don't, that don't belong in your house, in your life anymore, people that are not, they don't make sense, they don't share similar values to you, anything that has to do, or hopes and fears related with the future as well, because I think there's an element of that in the 11th house as well, could be coming up for you and giving a little bit more of a sort of lighting up there. How can you be more creative in your life as an individual? How can you express yourself, step into your creativity as well a little bit more? So it's somehow by letting go of collective expectations or collective ideals of who you should be or how you should be, something about the intuition and the strong emotions of Pisces there, and the potential challenges that you might be going through with Saturn transiting your 11th house as well, that will be bringing some extra illumination into how you can be more creative in your life. How can you embrace creativity and joy in your life as well, which I think are subjects of that 5th house. So really pay attention to that. And I would really recommend, if you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't looked into it yet, to have a look at that video I put it out about Saturn in the houses, because knowing about your Saturn transit will help you to have even more clarity around what sort of intentions or what sort of rituals you can do during this full moon in Pisces. All right, because Saturn will be very close to this full moon in Pisces. Now, for the early Gemini and the late Taurus, we're gonna have the full moon happening in the 10th house. So the sun will be in the 4th house and the moon will be in the 10th house. Now that's a very interesting one here as well. I mean, this full moon in particular will be super powerful, super interesting for every ascendant in every house. But with the 10th and the 4th, we've got the angular houses. There's something about your path in life, where you headed, what are you doing, where you belong as well. That will be very much under the spotlight. And with the full moon and Saturn happening to be in your 10th house, it will be attitudes, hopes, or any sense of controlling that you're letting go there in the 10th house, in the realm of career, in the realm of achievement, of your role in society. What are you doing out there? And so the light will be shining in your 4th house, the house of family, the house of groundedness, where you belong. And so, but depending on that sense of belonging there and where you're at, in terms of your home life, you be able to let go of what is not, the shadows, or it could even be a second chance connected with your career, connected with your role out there in society, but coming from a grounded place, because we're also having the sun in the 4th house, having your feet on the ground there, knowing who you are, knowing where you come from, and that sort of giving you giving you the stability to go through the strong emotional release that this full moon in Pisces might be reflective of in your 10th house. And Saturn, transiting there as well, any challenges, any difficulties that you may be having in your career, or opportunities that you may be having in your career, will be direct linked to your sense of inner security with that sun in the 4th house as well, with your sense of belonging to somewhere as well. So really, my purpose with this video is to give you a little insight, a little pearl of like, okay, this is where it is. So you can also do your research, you can also look for more information if you desire, but for you to meditate on the subjects of those 2 houses when, and through the building up of this full moon as well. All right. Now for the late Gemini and the early Cancer as well. So for the late Gemini and the early Cancer, we're going to have the full moon happening in the 9th house. So it will be the axis of the 3rd and the 9th house as well. So let me move early Cancer there as well. So there we go. We've got the sun falling in the 3rd house and the moon in the 9th house. And the full moon happening in the 9th house, it really has to do with worldview as well. There's something of your worldview that you're ready to let go of, or that you're ready to embrace it as well. Let's say there's something about a spiritual perspective on how the world works. I think there is a similarity with the 12, but is a little bit more rational than the 12, whereas the 12 houses are connection with all that is and the sense of boundlessness. I think the 9th house will be definitely connected with how we perceive the world to function, a sort of our philosophical view of how things work and how the universe work as well. So there's something about a philosophy there that this full moon will be highlighting, and it could be connected with higher education, with living abroad as well, where you are, if you are on a journey there, living somewhere else. This full moon will bring very strong feelings there around these situations, but definitely with a connection to the mind, with a connection to how you communicate, how you verbalize, how can you bring this worldview into service with that sun in Virgo in the 3rd house, with writing, publishing, writing books, any ideas that you may have had, a blog that you've been wanting to create, or a traveling blog that you've been wanting to create, that you suddenly have further insights with this full moon, or a second chance around these subjects as well that may be coming your way, that may be coming back to you, so there's something of worldview communication that we definitely highlighted here for you, late Gemini and early Cancer rising. All right. Yeah, this is, this is what, and any difficulty that you might be having with Saturn transiting your 9th house will be highlighted there with this full moon as well, you know, something will become clear. I think what's really important for us to keep in mind with the full moon is that sometimes it might be very intense and very emotional, but it's just showing us something. It's just enhancing feelings around something that we're already sort of aware that's been going on already for us. All right. So for the late Cancer and the early Leo rising, so the late Cancer, which is from 7 degrees to 29, and the early Leo as well, which is from 0 to 6 degrees Leo. There we go. This full moon will be happening in the 8th house, the mysterious traditional house connected with Scorpio, and the sun will be in the 2nd house. So there's something about becoming more aware of your resources with the sun, with the sun falling in the 2nd house, and the moon and Saturn in the 8th, sort of pointing out to what you're ready to let go, what you're ready to become aware of, what's it could be connected with the second chance that's coming that will relate to those 2 houses, and to abundance as well. You know, we've got that 2nd house sun there, the Taurus, but with the 8th house, letting go of to old attitudes towards values, old attitudes towards sort of limiting beliefs around these 2 houses as well. You know, the sense of what you possess and what others possess as well with the 8th house. But there's something about psychology that I always think about when we place planets in the 8th house, a healing process there as well, a healing process connected with self-worth. That's the sun illuminating that 2nd house. So letting go of what's, you know, feelings of worthlessness that might be there hidden in your 8th house as well, and the sense of you can do it, you can accomplish, you can make it work, you can make money, or your attitude towards money as well, somehow illuminating that house there, but by letting go of anything that's hidden, that's sort of being an obstacle for you to achieving something in that house there, in the 2nd house as well. So really, it's a mysterious house, the 8th house, but there is something about what's hidden in your psychology or what you've inherited from your family as well that you might be ready to let go of. And that Saturn transit in the 8th will also be reflective of that. So if you haven't watched my video about Saturn in the houses based on the Ascendant as well, have a look at that video. Go on your Ascendant straight, you know, there are timestamps as well, so you can find out what Saturn in the 8th house is kind of, because it's a longer lesson that's been going on that this full moon will highlight for you. All right, and again, there is that sense of a second chance, there is that sense of dreams coming true, and they will be connected with the 8th and the 2nd house for you. All right, so now for the late Leo, so from the 7 to the 29 degree of Leo, and the early Virgo as well, we have the full moon happening in the 7th house. And obviously, the closer your ascendant is to the 7th degree, the closer that full moon will be to the ascendant-descendant axis here for you. All right, so that's a big one. That's very important. It will be definitely felt very strongly, because the closer this full moon will be to our angles or to our personal planets as well, the more personal this full moon will feel like for us, the stronger this energy will be in our lives, in our life situations as well. And for you, will be connected with relationships, will be connected with partners, with other people, what they bring into your life, what kind of people you attract into your life. Be people wanting to be saved, people wanting to be helped, be spiritual people bringing insights to you, bringing inspiration into your life as well. It could be that. It really depends where you're at in your life, what's happening there. But I just want to give you a little flavor here, a little clue. Astrology is detective work, so I just want to give you a little clue about what to look for and what to pay attention for during this full moon, during this build up of this full moon, and a couple of days after as well. But really, the sun shining on your ascendant is really talking about how you come across, how you show yourself. So it will be illuminating your attitude towards other people and the tendencies to leave behind there with that full moon, potentially, you know, the tendencies and the emotions coming through other people there, or through partnerships in general as well. So really, that's the arena that's going to be very strongly influenced here for you, with the early Virgo and the late Leo. Now for the late Virgo and the early Libra rising, we're going to have this full moon happening in the 6th house. So we have an inversion, right? We're beginning to see the other side of the coin here. So the full moon will be happening in the 6th house. And here, like, is the attitudes, and that's for the early Libra rising as well, okay? So those will be attitudes towards your daily routines, towards your health as well, that will be shining the light there on the mysterious house, on the mysteries of life, on the sense of being connected, you know, and being interconnected, on your service behind the scenes as well, if that's the kind of work that you do. It could be co-workers, you know, bringing drama or bringing inspiration as well into your inner life, into your I feel that the 12th house has a real connection with the inner life as well, you know, where we go when we're alone, and what we find when we're alone as well. So the sense of aloneness will be highlighted by that sun, but it will be fueled by the emotions coming through that 6th house, sorry. So anything that has to do with the 6th house, it could be pets, it could be your health, like I've mentioned, but your routines as well. And if you've been practicing spiritually daily, you know, there's something of that kind of flavor there as well. But really, the inspiration and the opportunity, or the second chance, could also be coming via your co-workers or your pets, or a new pet, or, you know, something like that. So the emotions will be coming and fueling through that house there and illuminating with the sun in the 12. So it could be, you know, something inspirational as well, something beautiful that's happening in the 6th house that will be feeding there the 12. But really, I mean, pay attention. I don't know. Let me know in the comments as well what's been going on for you, how you've been feeling. And again, it will be particularly powerful if you have planets in those degrees of the mutable signs, especially. So if you have anything between 5th and, you know, 8th degree of Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, and Sagittarius, then this will be very, very powerfully connected with your natal chart. And that's how you do, you know, astrology is this sort of like detective work. No matter how much information I give you in this video, it will always be a little bit general. No matter how much I try to specify down to degrees, it will always be a bit general. So have a look at your chart, have a look at your planets, learn your degrees, have it by heart, because it's worth it, especially with such a powerful, important, inspirational, big, you know, placement in terms of like we're going to be having this Thursday with this full moon. All right. Now for the late Libra and the early Scorpio, we're going to be having this full moon happening in the 5th. So the sun will be in the 11th and the moon will be in the 5th. Now, this could be related to a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions coming through your creative process, your creative work, your artwork, your children as well, or your relationship to children, perhaps healing the inner child as well. There's something that's been going on that's very emotional. So all these strong emotional content that this full moon in Pisces is representing, is sort of reflecting, will feed the subjects and the you know, the area of your life represented by the 11th house with the sun in the 11th. So it will feed your role in society as part of the group, as part of, you know, part of a group of friends or a group of like-minded people, or what service you can provide for people, for humanity, humanitarian causes as well. You know, we're all part of the human family. We'll be fed by all of this intensity that the full moon in Pisces, the super blue full moon in the 5th house, is bringing to you. Late Libra and early Scorpio, right? So really pay attention to that 5th house, 11th house axis there, that this is going to be under the spotlight for you. And it could be beautiful in terms of opportunities, second chances, but manifesting dreams are related to creativity. So if you are an artist, you know, if you work creatively, or if you work with NGOs, or, you know, any kind of work that you do for the benefit of other people, you know, this full moon will definitely enhance this, will definitely bring even more material there for your process, you know, or, you know, delivering artwork that will change other people's lives as well, or something like that. That's a combination and a very powerful release of energy that will involve these 2 houses. So again, if you have anything on the mutable signs in those degrees, the sort of like 5th to the 8th, that's going to be very powerful. And that's definitely going to activate and highlight something that you have natally already. You got to do your detective work there to find out a little bit more. Now, for the late Scorpio and the early Sagittarius, this full moon will be happening in your 4th house. So this full moon will be happening in your 4th house, and the sun will be in the 10th house. Now, if you're paying attention to the position of the moon, you might be a little confused and be thinking, well, but hold on a minute, the moon wasn't in the 4th, but that's because I'm moving it around. So that's not the exact full moon anymore. If you see, that's the 14th degree of Pisces. So really be guided by the sun, because the sun moves a little slower, and you can see that the sun will be in the 10th. And because the full moon is the exact opposition, the moon will be right across that sun. So for the late Scorpio and the early Sagittarius, this full moon will be happening in the 4th with the sun in the 10th house. Now, this is, again, we have a shift here from, you know, the Taurus rising, and the full moon, happening in the 4th house here. We have strong emotions being released, dreams, you know, inspiration, all of that powerful emotional content that this full moon represents will be coming via the 4th house, via the sense of where you belong or where you don't belong, or where you grew up, your past, your family, your roots, you know, all of that, your home life. That's what's going to be bringing all of these emotions, emotional content, emotional release that will then feed into where the sun is, that will then give content to the sun in the 10th. And that will be your career, your vocation, where you're at in your public life. So all of your private content in your private, so all the content of your private life will be feeding into your vocation and your public role. So, you know, the crisis that you might be going through already with that Saturn transition your 4th house will be highlighted emotionally here with this full moon in Pisces in your 4th house near that Saturn. So you can accomplish a lot in your career by working on these issues connected with your home life, with your family life. So really those 2, and again, because it's an angular house, that's going to be very major there. And if you do have planets in the mutable signs in those degrees between the 5th and the 8th degree, especially, you know, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo, then this full moon will be personally very strongly felt. So it could be second chances as well. It could be manifesting dreams that will have a manifestation there in the 10th house. You know, they will be fueled, they will be felt very strongly in the 4th house. They will be coming from the 4th house, but being delivered by the 10th house there potentially for you, because, you know, the sun represents the light of consciousness. Now, for the late Sagittarius and the early Capricorn rising, So the late Sagittarius and the early Capricorn rising, we're going to have this full moon happening in the 3rd house. So with the 3rd house, we have a lot of old ways of thinking, of communicating, patterns of communication, potentially relationship with siblings that might be challenging, that might be, achieve some kind of peak, that will have a connection with your worldview, with how you perceive reality to be, with how you see the bigger picture of life. And this could be embraced as well in teaching and things that you might be able to teach. So it could also be a full moon related with teachings and courses that you're doing or you're giving to other people as well. Writing books, publishing ideas, channeling spiritual information with this full moon in Pisces in the 3rd house as well. I would really encourage you to have a look at the Saturn video I created a month or a couple of months ago about Saturn in Pisces based on the Ascendant, because you can have a stronger idea of what is the flavor of this Saturn transit and what are the long-lasting lessons that this full moon will sort of activate, and the opportunities as well that this Saturn is bringing by transiting your 3rd house. So becoming very serious about your communication and miscommunications that might be happening, we will also somehow have that impact during this full moon. So anything to do with thoughts, truth, expressing truth, there will be very much under the spotlight there, and how you verbalize, how you express yourself as well. Are you expressing yourself authentically? Are you talking about the things that you believe for real or not? Those are going to be there under the spotlight for you, early Capricorn and late Sag. Now, for the early Aquarius and the late Capricorn, so for the late Capricorn, early Aquarius, we're going to have the full moon happening in the 2nd house. Now, with the 2nd house, is all about attitudes towards money, towards value, personal value, self-worth. There's something about your connection with the material realm there that will be highlighted with this full moon, the 2nd. It could be insights on how you can make money, new opportunities around making money in a more intuitive way, doing Piscean things. If you've got sort of a spiritual streak or a spiritual gift that you haven't been monetizing somehow, that you haven't been offering as a service, this could be a full moon that would be really strongly showing you that will be really showing a new perspective on these issues, how to do that, or that this is really the right time and the right path for you. Remember, it could be a second chance, so something that's coming back to you, an opportunity of some kind related with resources, but also with your ability, with your connection with the 8th house here and the sun there, your connection with the mysteries, with the mystical, with the esoteric traditions, with investment, with helping other people invest money, with psychology, like all the things sort of Scorpionic 8th house related that will be shining the light here, the spotlight of the sun, by letting go or becoming aware of some of the unconscious tendencies that the moon will be reflective of. So the full moon Pisces in the 2nd is like fueling the 2nd house, like it's not fueling the 2nd house, but it's like a strong emotional content that might come up for you around the 2nd house sort of area, and flavors that will fuel the 8th house, that will fuel your esoteric understanding of life, or what you can offer other people as well, with a Virgo in there. All right. Now, for the late Aquarius and the early Pisces, this full moon will be happening in the 1st house. And if you have the ascendant at 7 degrees Pisces, or anywhere near the 7th degree of Pisces, then the full moon will be very close to your ascendant, and it will be even stronger around this flavor. So with the full moon in the first house, there's something about letting go or becoming very emotional during this full moon. This full moon might rise some very strong emotions on you, might really stir some really strong emotional feelings there for you, especially in connection to other people. So strong empathy, strong emotions around other people's suffering or the people around you or yourself as well. You might become more intuitive. It might activate some psychic abilities that you have, or the way that you see yourself as well, as part of the world, as as another drop in the ocean. It's very Piscean there, but there's something about the lessons that you're having with also Saturn being in your first house about who you are, how to come out into the world, and how to express yourself, that this full moon will definitely trigger as well. And so it will illuminate partnerships, and there could be potential partnerships that will come out, or opportunities there as well, related with partnerships and related with your intuition, when becoming and embracing your intuition more as well. If you haven't watched the video about Saturn in the houses based on the ascendant, have a look at that, because this full moon will very, very strongly activate that Saturn transit. And again, if you have a strong natal placements, natal planets in those degrees of the mutable signs between 5 and 8th degree of Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, then this full moon will be highly, highly personal, very strong. Is a super moon, is nearer us, is a blue moon, which represents the second chance, is the second full moon of the month. So this is powerful, and it's in Pisces as well. This is really, really, really powerful. So that's it. Now for the late Pisces, I already talked about, and that was the first one where, early Aries rising is as well. Now, I hope this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments where this full moon is in your chart, what's going on for you, what's going on in your life as well. And I'm wishing you all a beautiful full moon, that your dreams really come through, and that you really can channel some very powerful information and feelings and put that into service to others as well, which is that Virgo Pisces axis. And let me know in the comments how you're feeling, what's going on for you, what would you like me to talk about next. And in the meantime, have a wonderful week, beautiful moon, and I will see you all on Friday. Bye bye now.